All right, what I want to talk about today is making life easy for your customers instead of yourself. This is something we talk about at our company probably weekly, or at least bi-weekly. You can ask my staff every Monday morning meeting, or it's every other Monday morning meeting. I'll talk about this convenience for the customer. We don't want to take the easy route for ourselves as a company, go the extra mile for the customer. That results in customer satisfaction, and then ultimately the company continues to grow. And we discuss a lot more, some of which I will share today. So what this all starts with, really, in my opinion, is communication. And communication, I'll give you a quick example here. Internally and externally. If our company is considering working with another agent or agency, maybe it's an agency that wants to generate more cash value life insurance sales, or they want to partner with us in some respect, what we will do is put a formal agreement together before working with them. And what that process looks like is, first, I'll have a meeting with the other agent or agency just to get a sense of what their current business model looks like. We'll go through how we work with others, just see if it's a fit from a personality standpoint and such. And if it is, then we'll discuss next steps. So I'll communicate with the potential agent or agency that could be a fit in working with us. Then I will speak with second in command here, Dara, my sister. She's my sister-in-law technically, and really just give her an overview of the meeting. And then she will draft a formal agreement to then send to that other agency. Now, right there with the communication, so I give her all of the information and she puts together an extremely well-written, with respect to the grammar, well-written with respect to detail, very organized, detailed document highlighting everything with respect to expectations, what the other agency can expect, what they can expect from us, what we can expect from them. Details go into it as far as what we'll do, what we do not do. This way, everything is clear up front and you don't have a situation after the fact where everybody signed the agreement and said, hey, I thought you guys took care of that. No, we don't provide that service. Well, that would have been nice to know before we agreed to pay you a certain percentage or pay you a certain fee. Like, we don't want any of that stuff up front. So Dara is very good at documenting that, and the document will be very well written with respect to no poor grammar either. Now, before she just sends the document off, first she'll proofread it, then she'll send it to me to proofread it, and I'm not really checking it for grammar, though the grammar is always perfect when she sends it. What I'm checking it for is really tonality, and will this message be well received, and is it easy to follow for the person that I had that meeting with? Especially just with industry experience, when we're speaking with other insurance agents and financial professionals, when we deliver or communicate that message in a document, there's certain verbiage and certain things that they'll look at and say, hey, I like this, or hey, this rubbed me the wrong way. So then I'll speak with Dara and say, hey, we should remove this piece, or let's just cut this piece out altogether. We can put it in another section. My point is, we're communicating internally, and then once everything's drafted properly on that document, then we'll send it out to the other party. And then when that other party gets the document, everything that I discussed with them is in there, and it's in a manner that's very easy to read. Expectations are set clearly up front, and then we move forward if it's a fit. But internal communication starts internally. We're working together, because if it's just one of us, human error is going to pop up. And then second, communicating externally to the agent or agency that we want to work with. Now, some things I want to touch on here that are important. We've got a list of do's and do nots. Then we're going to pull up another one. Is for you as a business owner, a sales professional, if you're working with customers, make life easy for the customer, not for yourself. So we've got remove the ego up here. A couple things here is, whenever we are communicating with a customer or a potential customer, we don't want to be defensive, or we don't want to justify why we did things in a certain way that potential customer disagreed with. Think of it if it's you. Have you ever had a complaint with a particular product or service with a company, and you call up customer service and you feel like the customer service rep is fighting with you? So regardless of how that conversation goes, if you feel like they're coming off as, I'm right, I'm fighting with you, maybe it's the sales professional you purchased from, whoever it might be, if they're being defensive and justifying why they do things the way they do things, and you're the unhappy customer, what are the chances of you working with them again in the future? Probably zero. Like, you're not going to do it. Like, it's a pain. They fight with me all the time. You ever see the show Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay? My wife and I just started watching that recently, and it goes way back to like the before 2010. But what amazes me is here you've got a world-class chef that comes into a restaurant, helps them revamp everything and tries to re-spark their business, and he's very, very focused on what is the feedback from customers. And some of the chefs and owners argue with him and say, hey, that's your opinion, but I think my food's great. Well, it's not great if all your customers tell you it stinks. Like, you got to listen to the customer, make things easy for them. Don't cook a dish because it's easy for you. You've been doing it forever, but they don't like it. No, put the extra time in, put the extra money in, make the dish, the entree, very, very good for the customer. That's the key, having the feel in the marketplace. But don't be that guy or girl that's defensive and justifying everything you do when you speak with customers. The next point goes in line with that. Don't talk down to people. And if you're not aware that you're doing that, have someone else on your team listen to you, or someone else you can work with when you're having conversations. Maybe it's your email communication. Have them look at that first and just don't ask them, hey, does it seem like I'm talking down to someone? Don't ask that question like, hey, what are your thoughts on this message? Anything you would change? That way you can get an unbiased opinion, and they're just thinking, hey, if I got this, like, what would my thoughts be? That's the kind of feedback we want there. We always want to be a resource here. This way people can come to us for information, not to be sold. They come to us for information. And then also be very, very approachable. You'll go such a long way with this. Imagine if you could reach out to someone that you knew that was high up at a company, or you've worked with them for 10 years and they always got back to you. They always were transparent. They provided information 10 years later in the same manner that they did day one. They never came back and said, hey, we discussed this before. Like, don't you remember this kind of stuff? No, they're always informative. Such a long way if people feel like they can approach you for anything. They'll also refer you a ton of business as well because you're approachable. They have that comfort level in working with you. We don't want to be an arrogant salesperson. There's nothing wrong with having the label salesperson, but we don't want to be arrogant, talk down to people, give them the eyebrows like, would you really do it this way? Like, no, here's how we do it. Like, don't put people in that position where they feel inferior. Right? So this all goes to communication, but this is very, very important stuff that people, in my opinion, don't train on a whole lot. Having the heart of a teacher. I actually heard that one from Dave Ramsey, which a lot of people in my industry, we specialize in whole life insurance, cash value life insurance products designed for maximum cash value. He's against whole life insurance, right? A lot of his opinions, he expresses that quite a bit. But he's very, very big on teaching. Whenever working with a sales professional, I've heard him say this, whether it's an insurance agent, an attorney, a real estate broker, you've got salespeople, and then you've got teachers. And he says a very small percentage of them are teachers. And that's what you want to look for. Someone that's going to teach you about everything, not make you feel dumb or anything like that. And he makes a valid point there. 100% agree with him. A couple other things here, and this is important. A lot of people get pulled into this, and I wish that they didn't. Don't worry about what your competition says about you. Worry about what your customers are saying about you. Competition is always going to have opinions about what not to do and why someone should not work with you, with whatever industry that you're in. This is why people typically can name their top 3 competitors before they can name their top 3 clients, right? We're always laser focused on the competition when we should in fact be laser focused on the customer instead. But do not worry about what your competition says. I'm a San Francisco 49ers fan. Alex Smith, he was drafted, I think it was a while back actually, I was still in high school, by the Niners. But when Jim Harbaugh came in, before Jim Harbaugh came in to coach the Niners for about 4 years, Alex Smith, he was struggling. And he admits that too, but it was in a TED Talk that he gave. He said, when Jim Harbaugh came in, it really helped revamp his career. He had a good year. And one of the things that he said Jim Harbaugh portrayed was he just didn't care what other people thought. Like, didn't care one bit, and that really helped Alex up his game. And he had a good career afterwards. But my point here, who cares about what the competition says? Don't don't listen to it. Maybe you'll get some feedback, but if someone comes at you, a competitor, in an aggressive way, tries to get you to explain things, they're not going to purchase a product or a service from you. Customers will. Focus on the customer. What objections are customers bringing up, not competitors? What questions are customers asking? What comments are customers making? Whenever we create content, our case studies, for example, every single time, like the questions that I'll try and slide in there are questions from customers, not from competitors and other agents, because it is all about the customer, and I want to make life as easy as possible for them. So taking the extra steps, putting in the extra work, all of that important stuff. Let's look at a little bit more. What do we have next? We talked about this already. Laser focus on the customer, right? Have an obsessive, compulsive focus on the consumer. How can you make life easy for them? Always try and put yourself in their shoes. Anytime before I send an email out, I'm going to read it aloud and ask myself the question, if I'm them, how would this be received? Is it easy to follow? Is it accurate? All of the important things. If I'm them, how will it be received, right? That's so important. Listen, confirm points by repeating, through repetition. So one thing I have noticed over the years is in working with individuals of all different financial levels, if we want to call it that, just about every single customer who pays in 6 figures or more into a cash value life insurance policy, when I'm on the phone with them and I'm going over points with respect to how to design a policy, how the premium PUA works, how loan interest rates work, the difference between non-direct and direct recognition, whatever it is, and sometimes it's complicated, they'll always repeat back what I said just to confirm, here's how direct recognition works with this particular insurance company. And they'll repeat it back. That confirms with me that they're listening. I'll try and do the same thing back when they have a question or they make a point to validate something. I'm going to listen to it and validate it as well, and that gives them confirmation that I'm actually listening rather than just, got it. If I confirm it, if I repeat it back, they have that confirmation that I'm listening. I'm also going to retain it more that way too. Some other things, and this is when you're in the moment, on a Zoom call, on a phone call, in an in-person meeting, asking questions, lots and lots of questions. When I first connect with someone, what I try not to do is just jump into a presentation. If you were to look at my practice 9 or 10 years ago, I would jump into a presentation. Probably get 5% of the people that I worked with would actually buy a policy from me or something like that. I didn't do very well in my early years, but I would just jump into it and present. Now, the first thing I say is, from your research thus far, do you have any questions? Anything at the forefront of your mind? What can I get you information on? I just want to really get a feel for where they're at in their research thus far. If they're in the beginning, we'll start in the beginning. If they're 80% of the way through, then we're going to start 80% of the way through. Provide more information as we go if I think something's important to mention that we haven't already. But asking questions helps save so much time. Saves your time, but it really makes life easy for the customer. The more time you can save for them, the better. And then directly answering questions. Don't give a vague answer that doesn't really hit the nail on the head. So important to do that. And if you don't know the answer, just let the person you don't know. Or I've got an idea of what it is, but let me get you a clear, concise answer to your question. I'll get back to you at the end of the day or at the end of the week if you know it's going to take you longer to get that information. But directly answer questions. Don't give fluff answers. Very important to do that. Happens a lot in the financial services industry, quite a bit. Then awareness questions. What I mean with this, awareness questions, is if I'm working with someone and they're not asking a ton of questions, what I'll do often is ask questions for them that a lot of people typically ask. I'll give you an example of this. When we explain how to design a policy for maximum cash value, dollars can go toward the base premium. Base premium dollars don't show up in cash value in the first year, or money can go toward the PUA, toward your PUA rider. PUA dollars show up in cash value in the first year. It's money I can access, begins to earn the guaranteed rate, dividends. That's like what everyone wants, the key to maximizing the cash value. So I'll go through that and ask any questions from that. And sometimes I get, no, that makes sense. I say, thank you so much. A question that we do sometimes get here, my dad actually asked me this many years ago, is, well, if I don't care about the death benefit, can I put 0% in the premium and everything into the PUA rider? Well, can't do that, and then get into more. You can watch our policy design video for more information on that. My point, though, is in your respective field, whatever it is you're educating on, provide those awareness questions. A lot of people appreciate it. And think of it, if you've ever worked with someone and did not ask the right questions, do you appreciate it when someone asks for you? Maybe it's a third-party advisor, but imagine if the salesperson does it for you and they're teaching you instead of just trying to sell you. Goes such a long way, builds a ton of trust there. We're treating others how we want to be treated. A couple other things here: transparency, clarity, convenience, right? All very important. Accuracy, so important. Always, if you're going to provide an answer and it's factual, make sure that it's validated. What I encourage a lot of people to do, and I've been guilty of this in the past, is if you receive information from who you believe to be a credible source, that's great. Still fact check it. It's so important to do that. There's a lot of examples. One thing that comes up quite a bit, and this is somewhat technical, but somewhat not, is when it comes to cash value life insurance, it's no secret that banks own a ton of it. Bank-owned life insurance is short for BOLI. So banks own a ton of cash value life insurance, but often a lot of agents will say, you know, when it comes to bank-owned life insurance, they put all their money in whole life insurance products and they borrow against them. So not 100% accurate. It is true when you look at bank-owned life insurance that it's a cash value life insurance product. However, how that product actually works is banks make a lump sum deposit into a BOLI policy. It's a single premium MEC, a modified endowment contract, meaning the cash value is not accessible. The loan rates are excessively high compared to other products, really discouraging banks from taking loans against them. They don't borrow against them. When a bank purchases a BOLI product, they make a one-time lump sum payment. It's a tier 1 asset that they see go nowhere but up over time. It's also not a whole life insurance product either. When you look at BOLI products, particularly general account BOLI, it's a single premium universal life policy. And it's harder to get that information than you would think. I've been fortunate to get that information just because of my background designing policies for corporations, and we work with a bank where we've set it up. So we went through the policy analysis, just going through exactly how it works. But just a small thing like that where we can really lose accuracy. And if I went and made a comment to say, hey, banks put their money in whole life insurance policies and borrow against them, that's how you can copy that. Someone sophisticated catches on to that and they know how banks work and they know how BOLI works. They're going to say, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Or he's one of those guys that just makes things up and comes off as very confident. So we've got to be accurate there. So important. If you don't know something, research it. That's all. Don't talk about it if you don't know it, because then you really run that risk of making yourself look foolish. And then lastly, let's wrap up with this. Practice. Practice and then master the fundamentals. And this is just communication, going back to the basics every single day. We don't want to get rusty. Communication on the phone, role play. Our sales team role plays every single morning. And that's going over just concepts as far as what is cash value life insurance, how do policy loans work. We have a new topic every week, but we want to practice it, because if we stop practicing it, then we become rusty. It's one thing to take in all the knowledge that the industry has. It's a completely different ballgame properly communicating it. So all of this is really meant, as you take in this knowledge, it's really meant to teach when you communicate it, make it easy for the customer. If you make life easy for them, your business will grow. Your sales will go up. If you try to make things easy for you and you're lazy, just to use that word, things won't go that well. You get frustrated, the consumer gets frustrated. It's not good for anyone. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I love talking about this stuff. I could go on much longer. This video is already too long, but I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, if you did, please hit the like button, subscribe for more, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Hey guys, Steve Parisi here. If you enjoyed the content you just saw, please subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell for future videos. If you'd like more information or to see some custom policies for yourself, feel free to call or email our offices at the contact information below.